Hey y'all, so this is sort of a part 2 to my last video on how to take responsibility for your feelings with some added gems and compassion that just make it overall easier to want to take responsibility for your feelings. So this is my official intro. I hope y'all are good. I know y'all miss me. Follow my Patreon. All of that is in the description box. And let's get into the video. We all have, you know, certain our traumas and like triggers surrounding being wrong. You know, I observe like from the older generation, like a lot of our parents or grandparents, and depending on how old your parents are, you know, they had anxiety, no, not even anxiety, agitation surrounding like being wrong. They passed that down to us to where they could just never be wrong. And a lot of us act that way in relationships, you know, play the blame game. But, you know, it's because our relationships, like I said from the How to Get Over Your Ex video, our romantic relationships can mirror how we grew up. But yeah, it's not even only our parents, but anyone that you look to as an authority figure who never let you make mistakes, you know, and always made you the one to be wrong if you were in a conflict with them. Those two coming together, it can make you feel like just as a person, you're just wrong. You know, you're just wrong to your core. You're wrong defaultly. You're wrong inherently, and then you're wrong defaultly in any situation, you know, and you can feel your feelings don't matter because they're wrong. They're probably wrong anyway, unfortunately. I wish everyone like who just like identify with that, I wish we could all just hug, cause like that sucks. It sucks really bad. But you know, it's life, and that's why I make these videos, cause we gotta learn that like we can be the right one, you know, we can. Yeah, and not, let me, because I want to get rid of this right and wrong thing, because it's not even just black and white like that all the time, or probably ever. We can have our feelings validated and by ourselves. You know, our feelings can be valid. How we feel about something can be valid, even if no one agrees with you. You know, even if no one sees your point of view or doesn't want to see your point of view, because there are people like that, honey. If that happens, this is why I do these videos, because it's really important to get centered in yourself so you can be the judge and you can make yourself the judge and not make other people the judge and the jury and the deciders of how you should feel, because that's not right. When you go through that where you're always made to feel wrong, having to feel and review your feelings and go through conflict with other people, it can just be an overall uncomfortable space. And if you follow other people, if you follow what society deems acceptable, and you don't tap within and connect to yourself, all of that combined makes you a victim.
Here we go, CSI.
To where you feel justified in saying, oh, well, you hurt me, so you're inherently wrong. And taking responsibility for our feelings helps us to review our past, review those feelings from our past, and see where they actually come from, and be able to look at our conflicts in a more objective way, with a rational mind, and be in our conflicts with a more present point of view rather than just an anxious point of view where we're like, oh my gosh, we're in conflict and like I'm the one that's wrong, and like, but I feel this way, I don't feel like I'm wrong, but I have to be wrong because of my past, blah blah blah, you know. And this is how taking responsibility for your feelings also acts as a mirror to how we process our emotions and our triggers, and how we react to both and face the parts that need changing and healing. And it puts us in a direct line of vision of our vulnerabilities and our true core feelings that we may have been blind to for some reason. It does a really good job of dissolving the ego, you know, and showing us the actual parts of ourselves that may be less favorable that our ego may have been trying to shield and protect ourselves from based on our past, because we didn't want to feel wrong again, you know, and we didn't want to feel the feelings that came with feeling wrong. And all of that brings me to this quote. If you watched the other video, shout out to you. And where I quoted this book named Nonviolent Communication, which I'll link in the description box down below. But I'm going to read it directly from my notes. And it says, which honestly, before I read it, brace yourself, because when I first read it, it hit me in my chest. Like, I'm so serious. It hit me square in my chest. All right, so take a deep breath, hold it, let it out slowly. Make sure you're good and well. Maybe take a sip of water, drink some tea, take a bite of food or whatever. Eat your favorite snack, child. Okay, I'm gonna start. Are you ready? It says, others' actions and what they say may be the stimulus, but it's never the cause for our feelings. Ooh. And before you go to making those conclusions and go into the conclusions and assumptions that you're used to, please let me explain, okay? Trust me, like, we're here right now. I'm holding you right now. I'm stroking your head right now. Just listen. You know, I'm gonna break it down for you, honey, okay? What this means, look at it as like a flow chart. Just like a chart with like arrows going horizontally. Hopefully horizontally. I was horrible in geometry. I could never like get that right. I don't know. I still don't know what those words mean. Like vertical. What does that mean? Like, why can't you just say sideways or straight, you know, or slanting? Anyways, basically someone does something. Flowchart, arrow. We perceive it as hurtful, or we perceive it as something. In the context of this video, we're gonna perceive it as hurtful. And then, arrow, we react to it. So someone does something, we perceive it however we perceive it, and that perception is hurtful, and then we react. So this middle space, this middle area, this middle issue, our perception of what another person says or does, going into it and really reviewing it and looking at it, it's the perfect opportunity to get to know yourself, how you perceive things, and then your boundaries moving forward. Now come the disclaimers. It is not an opportunity to go and beat up and blame yourself for how you feel, for being too sensitive, and internalize how other people are judging you for having emotions and showing them. And it's also not an opportunity to even focus on the potential judgments of other people. Like the judgments before the actual judgment from a tangible person even comes. The judgments that we make up in our minds based on our past. It's not the opportunity for none of that. It's also not the opportunity to, and I'm saying this like this because I know how fast our minds work. I know how our minds work. I know what the mind does when it's been in pain and it perceives someone blaming them, you know, and then it goes into those internalized thoughts from our past, and then it just starts confirming our past, you know, confirming how others have judged us, confirming what we've been through, when it doesn't even need to be like that. Taking responsibilities for your feelings, it doesn't need to be a confirmation of your past, a confirmation of being wrong, a confirmation of being too sensitive. It's also not to victim blame or suggest that people don't do things with malicious intent, you know, to intentionally hurt us. Saying that you perceive something as hurtful, it does not mean that the thing is not actually hurtful. How you perceive something, that's your truth. Because you know how people try to flip things, especially people when they learn a little mental health thing, they use it as a way to flip things so that they're always in the right and, you know, everyone else is wrong. It's not to feed into that person who's just like, who's gaslighting others and manipulating situations as saying you're just perceiving that as hurtful based on your past. Yeah, that may be, but that doesn't mean that my feelings are not valid. You know, this is not to say that your feelings are invalid and that your truth is invalid. Please stay away from those people because they could really... Child. And it's also not saying that you have no right to feel a certain way. You know, if your feelings are hurt, you know, they're just hurt. And then you go to process them. And then as you go to process them, you take responsibility for your role in the situation, for your feelings, so that you don't play the blame game. You know, and this is also just to say it comes with trial and error. Starting off, it can be weird. It can feel weird. It could feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just, you know, I'm being burdensome with this. When you want to discuss your feelings fully and not just shrug them off or express them in a vague way and then be all passive aggressive, you know, and start using emotionally harmful tactics like silent treatment, like, you know, just being passive aggressive and just not saying your feelings. And you know, kind of like dangle a carrot over your partner's head and choosing to stay mad at them and making them fall on their sword and work for your forgiveness when you was probably not even in the overall objective absolute right. Who even ever is? Hello? Taking responsibility for our feelings. It takes it a step further than seeing what you feel. It takes it a step further by asking, why do I feel this way? Why was I triggered? And what significance does this trigger have to me based on my past? And then so, knowing all that, we can take responsibility and say, you know what, my reaction to this situation could have been wrong because I was reacting to my past rather than to you in the present moment. And I'm sorry. And then, yo, when I tell you, just saying that it makes it so much easier rather than just fighting like how we're used to fighting to be the right one, fighting to escape blame. You know, it can make you a more genuine person and make your connections more genuine and make you more genuine in your connection to yourself and not run away from parts of yourself where you may be in the wrong. You know, we're human. It's gonna happen. Don't run away from it. Taking responsibility for our feelings, it's not to like give up your stance or, you know, not to be walked all over like a doormat. Its sole purpose is to gain deeper knowledge into ourselves and understand what makes us tick and just how the things in our lives has affected us and how it's coming up now in your present more grown-up self. And also lastly, real tea, real talk, getting into the practice of this, of taking responsibility of your feelings so that you know if you were bugging or not and you don't leave it up to the other person in a codependent way. It can help you see who you actually want to stay in your life and who you want to cut off and distance yourself from based on their reaction to a conflict that you two have. And you just simply stating your feelings. You know, it puts you in more control if you always have to have the other person see where you're coming from to feel validated and worthy to state your feelings, you know, then you're always just gonna be pushed around emotionally, even by the wisest people. It's all based on our perception. And because you have a certain perception that you can bring to the table for someone to see, you know, they may be blind to it. We all have blind spots in ourselves, to ourselves. But you saying, oh, hey, actually, this is why I feel this way, and giving examples because you know how you feel, because you're emotionally intelligent, it can show them how they may not have known how they, you know, are showing up to conflict. Because not everyone does things with malicious intent. Some people just don't know. So, thank y'all so much for watching this video. I hope it was concise. I hope that you could understand it. But let's be real, you probably did. If you didn't, leave any type of questions or comments or overall comments in the comment section below. Do not forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And I am NicoleHeals. Thank you for temporarily or hopefully forever joining the Nicole Heals healing community. Remember, follow me on Patreon, become a patron. It's lit over there, if I do say so myself, honey. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye. Bye, y'all.